else happens, that we leave on a no-deal basis. And
to it happening, still the legal default, it's still not completely in the UK's hands. Let's have a chat with one of the MPs who's part of this effort to try and stop no deal happening, the SNP's leader down here, Ian Blackford. How are you going to do it? How are you going to stop no deal happening?
Well, you're right in what you say. The default position is if nothing else happens, that we leave on a no-deal basis. And today we've had the report of the Office of Budget Responsibility that makes it clear that a no-deal Brexit is really going to hurt, that people will lose their jobs. We're going to be poorer as a result.
So how are you going to stop it?
Well, I think today has been a momentous day, and I'm so grateful that colleagues across the House have given a very clear signal to the new Prime Minister, because that's what this is about, that he's not going to get away, if he so chooses, of trying to prorogue Parliament. We've given ourselves a mechanism that Parliament can sit and that we can stop a new Prime Minister doing that. I want to say to colleagues right across the table, we now have to go further, and we have to bring forward, over the course of the coming weeks when we're in Parliament, legislation that will allow us to strike out no deal. It's up to Parliament to do that, and of course we have to find a way to do it. There are mechanisms that we can use. People often talk about taking back control. Well, actually, that's exactly what has happened today. Parliament has taken back control. The message that we must send to Boris Johnson: you will not do untold damage to the economy by driving the United Kingdom out of the European Union on a no-deal basis. All of us have responsibilities to protect the economic interest of our constituents, and I believe that that's what we will be doing. I am much more confident today that no deal will not happen if Parliament does its job.
Here we have Peter Blackford from the SNP, who seems to be rather proud with himself in regards to the vote that went down yesterday that prevents the PM-to-be from being able to suspend Parliament if it came down to it in order to push for a no-deal Brexit. And then he goes on to say that more needs to be done and work will be done to try and move towards removing no deal from the equation in its entirety. Now, of course, doing so kind of leaves the PM-to-be in a rather dubious position, and it removes any incentive from the European Union to renegotiate whatsoever. Why would they renegotiate? Why would they even feel the need to consider it if no deal is removed from the equation? It stands to reason that the European Union will just refuse, and if no deal by that point is removed, or it looks like it will be removed, that in itself would give reason for the European Union to reject any proposals put forth. Nonetheless, the PM would have to go back to Parliament and try and plead his case, half-heartedly obviously, to try and allow a no deal to occur, and we all know the outcome in that regard. But that's not to say that no deal by that point won't be removed already. And meanwhile, the SNP continue to do what they do best: pretend to Scotland that independence is on the horizon, while simultaneously going about procedures that will eradicate the mandate that they've got for any independence referendum in the future. It's remarkable how they still get away with it to this day. It really is remarkable how they do not get called out in the exponential amount of shit that comes out of their mouths. And sufferable Boot Sturgeon and our little parrot Blackford. So, if you needed any more proof. So this was yesterday, right? And we come to, on Twitter today, Mari, I'm a victim of misogyny Black, says here, next Thursday I'll be joining Peter Blackford here in Paisley as we discuss Scotland's future. You can sign up, yada yada. Scotland's future. Independence or Brexit Britain. Independence or Brexit Britain. Yeah, of course. Where's the bit in the middle there though? There's a third option there that they're coincidentally leaving out. You know, that one where it states remaining in the EU, which is looking ever more likely with the revelations from Blackford. And yet they're going to move towards trying to remove no deal from the table in its entirety, thus rendering the whole process near enough pointless, meaningless. Of course, there's a high probability that Brexit will not happen. Therefore, what are they going to do then? You know, the only reason they're talking about independence again, as I've said before, is because no deal was being talked about. Every time no deal starts to gain momentum in the narrative, so too does the independence referendum. But let's not beat around the bush here and pretend for 1 second that independence is the only thing that they care about. Oh no, it's the European Union membership that they give a shit about. And doing thy bidding for the UN. Therefore, it's rather strange, is it not, for the SNP, who are now trying to pretend that independence is looming, and it's independence they've always wanted. It's rather strange that they've been campaigning to no end to try and remove no deal from the table, to revoke Article 50 completely. Let's not forget their promise, one of 4 in the European elections, said to vote for the SNP to stop Brexit. You know, rather strange thing to promise, rather strange thing to want to do if independence was truly what you wanted. As Beta Blackford, as many of the other politicians in Parliament, bound to be thinking they're onto a winner now in regards to the events that unfolded yesterday and the events that probably will occur in the future as a result of. It stands to reason that Brexit's near enough fact at this point. Therefore, they've got what they always wanted, which was membership in the EU secured. But they still have one hurdle to climb, and that hurdle will be to justify why there isn't a referendum. And they've already started to drip feed BS into the narrative for all to see and consume, as of last week, insinuating that Boris Johnson and Jeremy Hunt both said simultaneously that they have rejected Scotland's right for a second referendum. And they allowed that narrative to run rampant. They needed to correct the journalists that had clearly got it wrong, or maybe they didn't get it wrong. Who knows? They've rejected Sturgeon's attempt to shoehorn in a second referendum. But they're still trying to make it seem as though it's Westminster to blame. This is an old clip here that I've got up on the screen, but even back then they were trying to make it seem as though when the time comes for Sturgeon to click her fingers, please let us do it. Please respect our wishes. Trying to give off the impression that Westminster effectively holds the keys to our fate in the end. Therefore, if they can't uphold a promise, you know who to blame, apparently.
I ask the members to support the SNP that when we decide to call for action to have a referendum in Scotland, that this House should respect it. We will not go down with a sinking ship. As Winnie Ewing famously said, stop the world, Scotland wants to get on.
Oh yeah. People are selling our country out and it's fucking vile. Peace.